This medical advisory board is made up of doctors, MDs, and DOs, and we've got RNs and LVNs, we've got naturopaths and child psychologists, and we've got chiropractors. But tonight, you have the privilege of hearing from our naturopath, Dr. Eric Prince. He hails out of Chicago, Illinois, and his history is he has such an extensive background, but he'll tell you a little bit about all the things he's done and how many people's lives have literally been changed by hearing the teaching that comes out of his mouth. So without any further ado, please let me introduce you tonight to Dr. Eric Prince. Dr. Prince, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Roz. I appreciate all those good accolades. I was wondering for a second who he was talking about, but I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Our goal tonight is to get some understanding about the bioscan. We want to understand what its purpose is. We also want to understand what our values are, because a lot of times people don't get a chance to really go in depth into the bioscan, because if we're at an event, there's probably several hundred people that are probably being scanned. So we do want to apologize that you're not getting your detailed reading at that moment. That's why we set this up, so that people can come together, and in a group we can explain it, we can ask questions on it, and we can better understand it. There's only so much understanding that you're going to get when you're sitting down and you have 20 people in line standing up over you waiting to be scanned. You know, that's kind of a stressful situation, because now the wellness coach has to rush, to get through your scan. And we don't want you ever to feel like you're coming into a medical doctor's office and you only sit for a few minutes. The only reason that the scan is short at these events is because we want to make sure we get everybody scanned before the event is over, so that we can bring everybody into a Zoom call, talk about the information, where we're resting, relaxing, maybe drinking some tea. I don't know what you're drinking over there, but it don't matter, because it's in your house, as long as you're not on the road somewhere. And we get a deeper understanding of what's actually changing the world. I just got off the phone with a pastor down in Mississippi. And of course, he was dealing with some cancer tumors on the adrenal and some cancer tumors on his heart. And so one thing they want to do usually is, of course, is to, biopsy. But the problem is that sometimes when you biopsy, that can be more damaging than the condition itself. So I basically told him something that he didn't know, that we should know generally. I told him that cancer is not a disease. Cancer is not a disease, but we have been taught that it is a disease. And because of that, we've actually have experienced it in a sense where it looks like cancer is a doomsday diagnosis. And that's so far from the truth. It is not a doomsday diagnosis. So as I started to talk to him about it, and I had to open his mind to new information. And that's what this is about. It's about gaining new information about things that affect your life. We want to address what's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when your frame of reference does not support the new information that's coming in. And so a lot of times we want to challenge the information because it doesn't agree with what we already know. Well, you have to be willing to open your mind to a new possibility. You have to be willing to open your mind to new information, because the information that comes in affects your body in a positive way, or it can affect your body in a negative way. So we want to get into the bioscan, and then afterwards we'll ask a few questions and we'll go from there. So the first one we're looking at, and let me explain the bioscan. Let me explain this technology. The bioscan is called quantum resonance magnetic analyzer. Yeah, it's a simple equipment. It doesn't even cost a whole lot of money, but the technology is so powerful that it escapes the attention of the elite the medical industry, it escapes their attention because they wouldn't think that something so mere can make a big difference in the world. But what the bioscan does is it's based upon quantum physics. Quantum physics, whereas the medical system that we're all a part of is based upon Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics is the behavior and the measurement and the predictability of large objects, whereas quantum physics is the behavior and the unpredictability of the subatomic particles. But here's the thing, the larger particles are made up of the subatomic particles, but they have two different laws. They have two different behaviors. Quantum behavior is strange. Quantum behavior is strange. Newtonian physics, well, it makes sense. You know, some of us didn't get a great grade in physics, but nonetheless, we at least had some way of understanding it. Quantum physics, not so much. So let's get an idea of the color code. So we're looking at the color codes. You're going to see normal represents green, and if we have any visually impaired people, let me know now so that I can adjust this this lesson. If we have any visually impaired people, let me know so I can adjust this lesson. But we're looking at green represents go, represents normal. Blue represents mildly abnormal. Blue is the beginning of imbalance. It's the point where the body is starting to move out of its prime. Well, we don't really know when that is. In fact, we don't even really feel it as much. But somewhere between 28 to 35, you're starting to move out of your prime. Then you go to moderate abnormality, from moderate to severe. Now, between moderate and severe is where the crisis shows up. Quantum bioscan, quantum bioscan. Between moderate and severe is where the crisis shows up. The crisis is what the present day medical system deals with. They deal with crisis care, crisis management, urgent care, immediate care. As you can see, the pattern is that it's all about addressing something that's in the late stages or something that's in a crisis state. So it's important for us to understand both systems. One system manages your crisis. That's the allopathic traditional medical system. But then now there's the quantum bioresonance technology that is addressing the things that are going on in your cells. Where is your body storing waste and toxicity? What that means is that we're able to identify the root cause of any condition that a person is experiencing. That's important is because, one, we can predict based upon the progression from normal to red, we can predict inevitably what that person is going to experience at some point. We can't say when that's going to happen because we don't know. It can happen when you're mild. It could happen when you're moderate. But usually between moderate and severe is when the crisis shows up, whether it's a heart attack, stroke, seizures, whatever the case may be. It's in that yellow and that red zone. Our goal is to first identify where you are on the disease progression and begin to reverse that process from severe to moderate to mild to normal. Our goal is to get back to normal. What does that mean? That means getting back to your prime, back to a biological state of being when everything was functioning well, back to a state of being when the heart was pumping properly, the liver was flushing and cleansing and detoxifying the blood properly, the kidneys was flushing and cleaning the blood properly, the brain was functioning right, the vascular system was clear, the blood was flowing, there was no buildup, no slow down, no slow metabolism. We want to get back to that state. That state is not a temporary state. The state of prime, the prime state, the state of wellness can be a permanent state. We didn't know that until now. We thought that once you hit your prime and you leave your prime, you prepare for what? Retirement, and you prepare for death. Well, all that's changed. We're not going to prepare to die. In fact, it's more natural to live until you're 120 plus than it is to die early. It's unnatural to die at 55, 65, 75, heck, even 95. It's not natural to die at these ages, because even the scripture tells us that as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people. And trees live hundreds of years. So scripture says that, and I use scripture in a scientific way. So this is not a religious lesson. This is all science. Scripture says that a child shall die at 100. What it's saying is that when a person reaches 100, not that they're going to die, but it's saying that even though you're 100 years of age, you're still considered a child. And that makes sense when you look at the time frame that we went through in the beginning of the book, when we were living up to 600, 700, 800 years. Those were centuries. We were living centuries at one point. Now we're only barely living decades. So something has to change, and this is where this technology comes in. Next slide. So when you look at the bioscan, this one is the liver. So the liver is important because, one, the liver is one of the main organs in your abdomen that cleanses and detoxifies your blood. What we don't take into effect is that that liver at some point needs to be flushed out. When you flush your liver out, you are able to restore your detoxification function to your body. If the liver goes from mild to moderate to severe, like in this particular example, this person has a severe fatty liver. So there's a good chance that this process has been going on for several years. No, in fact, for several decades. So if you think about when you were in your normal range, you don't know. It could have been 9, could have been 13, could have been 14. But let me say this. Kids that I'm scanning now that are 14 and 15 are not in their normal range. In fact, a lot of these kids now are actually showing borderline diabetes. I'm starting to see plaque build up in their coronary arteries. I'm starting to see plaque build up in their heart. So they're starting to experience a lot of age-related conditions, because now these conditions are no longer age-related. They're now lifestyle-related. So the lifestyle is causing us to progress and degenerate faster. So it's important that we know that, because we don't want our kids to reach a point where we're reaching infertility because the body is so toxic. But that looks like where we're going. We can reverse that, but we as adults have to first confide in the process, heal our bodies, and then help our children to heal, because we are the ones that gave them the lifestyle that's causing the deterioration. Remember, if you train a child in a way they should go, they shall not depart. But the problem is that we were trained in a way that we shouldn't go, and we're having problems departing. And so the scan gives us a blueprint as to what we need to focus our mind on. Now, why is that important? Because the mind is the operative power in the quantum realm. When you bring the mind back into the body, then you'll understand that your belief system, your thoughts control your biology. Your belief system and your thoughts control your biology. There's not a pill to change your thoughts. So therefore, you have to begin to reconcile some things of the past. So it's not always what you're eating that makes you sick. Remember, it's sometimes what's eating at you. So let's take a look at protein metabolism. We're going to start at the top, come on down. Protein metabolism. So when the indicator is to the left of the green, as you can see, it's a decrease. When the indicator is to the right of the green, it's an increase. So in this particular situation, if you're looking at your reports, protein metabolism is usually normal or to the left, which means it's going to be normal or at a decrease. And that's important, is because when you talk about protein metabolism, you're talking about the amino acids that you need from your diet in order to synthesize any protein that the body needs. Remember, your body is a protein producing machine. So you always need amino acids. You just don't need them coming from an animal source. So I am vegan. I've been vegan since 2004. So I stopped eating animals back in 2004, which is now coming up on close to 20 years. Not looking back, I don't miss it. In fact, once I really learned about animal protein and how it tears up our bodies, I was at that point willing to let go of that relationship. You have to sever a relationship where there is no love. You have to sever a relationship where there is no love. The animals can't love you because they're dead. You see, my son loves animals. My son loves chicken, but he loves chickens when they're alive, not when they're dead. So you have to ask yourself, if you love something that's dead, how do you translate that into your relationship? You see, the mind just can't cut off the idea of loving something that has no life. So therefore, you have to understand that how you train the mind, it's going to process that into many other aspects of your life. So it's important that you understand, in order to bring life back to the body, you have to eat life. You have to eat things that are alive. You have to eat things that have the nutrition in it, and the vitality in it. Otherwise, the body will continue to degenerate. And as you can see from your bioscan, it will degenerate pretty much over time. The bioscan shows you the truth about your future. It shows you the future. Now, the future can change, but if you don't do anything about it, then one thing you can expect is that it's going to keep on progressing. And I hate to bring up this example, but there was a gentleman that I scanned back in 2017. And we saw on the scan where he was starting to have kidney failure. Now, he wasn't on dialysis at that point. And in fact, he didn't even have a diagnosis of kidney failure. But we saw that his kidneys were starting to fail. And when we go to that report, I'm going to show you how. When we saw his kidneys about to fail, he now in that moment had the opportunity to prevent and reverse that condition. He had the opportunity right in his hands, because I showed him something that Dr. Mason didn't show him. You know Dr. Mason, the one from What the Health. Well, he decided to go with Dr. Mason instead of me because it wasn't as popular back then, and I wasn't. Unfortunately, last year, or was it this year? This year he passed. And ironically, he passed after spending months on dialysis. And at some point, he decided he was tired of doing dialysis, and he just accepted his fate. But you see, what happened is that within 5 years, it took 5 years for him to reach a point where his kidneys officially shut down and needed dialysis. Had we addressed that back in 2017, he would have had a different future. He would still be here right now. So that's why I'm stressing how important this information is. Do not take this lightly. This information saved my life back in 2011 when I did my first bioscan. I had the technology, but I had not yet done my own scan. Now, I remind you, I've been vegan since 2004. So from 2004 to 2011, several years, and then 2009, I had started back competing in track and field. So as far as I knew, my diet, my lifestyle, my exercise, the rigor in which I trained said that I should be okay. Except at Western Illinois University, I was just finishing up a 400-meter race. I don't think I did too well in it, because what I was starting to experience in that race was chest pressure. And I was experiencing this pressure in my chest. Now, there was no pain, but there was pressure. So I said, well, let me go on and do my bioscan, see what's going on. And sure enough, I saw that there was plaque buildup in my coronary arteries. I was building up plaque in my coronary arteries. What does that mean? That means that I was starting to move towards heart disease as a vegan. I was starting to move towards heart disease as an athlete. That did not make sense to me. This is an important lesson right now for you to understand. I don't care how you feel right now. When you do this scan, the scan will let you know what you didn't know, so that you can begin to correct what you didn't know, so that nothing can sneak up on you. Had I not done my bioscan in 2011 and identified the plaque buildup in my heart, and you have to understand this, my grandmother, God rest her soul, She passed back in 1979 from a heart attack on Thanksgiving, kind of like a soul food movie, right? So I can remember as a little kid watching her clench her chest as she was cooking that big old giant juicy turkey. And man, we was going to chow down on that food. But it was the food itself that got her to that point. It was the turkey, all the holidays, all of the cookouts and barbecues that got her to that point. We didn't know nothing about it. All I know is that on that day, she passed. Well, what did that mean? That means that I was now predisposed to heart disease. I didn't think nothing of it. But when I saw my scan, guess what happened? I realized that I was starting to manifest the condition in my bloodline. Well, that doesn't make sense because I'm vegan. So why should I be manifesting my condition? Because when you talk about quantum physics, you're talking about what's running on your subconscious mind. See, it didn't matter what I did consciously because the subconscious program was running heart disease. The subconscious program was running diabetes. And no matter what I did consciously, if I did not hack my brain, if I did not hack my subconscious mind and shift that program, then I would have continued down that road despite my diet, and I would have still had a heart attack, and I probably would have dropped dead on the track. But thank God that I saw that scan, and it humbled me. That was the first time I've been so humbled, thinking that I had it, thinking that I got it all together, and I didn't have it all together. But praise God that that same year, 2011, instead of me dropping dead on the track, I wound up winning the world championship. And I became the fastest man on record, the fastest man over 40 years of age in the world, not in the city or community or state, but in the world. That was a world championship. In the world, over 400 meters, which is a quarter mile, which is a horse race. It was the first time since college that I had run sub 50 seconds. So I was now back to my college conditioning. I was now back to my college performance. I had now proven through this technology that you can reverse your biological age. So this is why we call it age reversal detoxification / flat belly cleanse. Yeah, I got a flat belly, it's obvious, but it's not about just your flat belly. It's what that means. See, what you got to understand is that when you're building up toxicity over time, you create what's called visceral fat. Visceral fat is fat around your organs, around your heart, around your liver, around your kidneys. This is visceral fat. The visceral fat is reflected in the belly fat. So most people are trying to work out and they're trying to get rid of the belly fat so they can have a flat belly. But you have to understand that until you address the visceral fat around your organs that you can't see, your body is not just going to, through vanity, take the belly fat away just because you want to look good in a dress, a bathing suit, or a suit. It's going to first work on the visceral fat around your organs. And as it works on the visceral fat, then it starts to work on the belly fat. So when you start to see that belly fat coming down, that's because now your body is starting to work on the secondary issue, which is the fat around your midsection. But it first had to work on the fat around your organs because that was more detrimental to you. So protein metabolism is important. We need 9 essential amino acids from our protein, from our diet. The body needs about 20 essential amino acids, but you need 9 of those from your food. That's why they call it essential amino acids. Believe it or not, a banana has all 9 of those essential amino acids, a banana. Whereas, yeah, chicken breast has also all 9 of the essential amino acids. But the difference is when you're eating the chicken breast, it requires more energy, more heat in order to break down that protein. That means that your body has to amp up to a higher temperature in order to break it down. That's why sometimes when you're eating meat, you start sweating. You're sweating because your body has to raise up to a temperature that sustains the protein in that animal. And for chickens, that temperature is about anywhere from 105 to 109. Human body temperature is 98.6 degrees. So you see the adjustment that the human body has to make just to break down animal protein. Now you understand that God didn't make a mistake. If he wanted man to eat animals, he would have given us the body temperature and the teeth and the jaw of a lion. Then we would be true carnivores and omnivores. But right now we're herbivores. Energy production. Energy production is important because one, anytime the body gets sluggish and it starts to detoxify slower, then that starts to cause more of the energy to be zapped. Whether it's emotions, whether it's food, your body, if you're eating 3 meals a day and at each meal, you're doing some bacon in the morning, chicken in the midday at lunch, and some beef at night. And I'm not saying all you guys are doing that, but I'm just saying that I used to do that. And the thing about it is that your body is constantly working left and right. It's constantly channeling that energy towards digestion. If you got to keep on putting your energy towards digestion, then it's going to take away from the need of that energy for repair. So now you're hindering the repair process because your body is working on digesting the food. So the energy production is either going to be normal or to the left. Some of you guys may have that may not be out of place. Detoxification, that's going to be the normal or to the left. Like I said, the liver is a detoxification process, but you may have your detoxification function in the green, even though you may have a severe fatty liver. Now, there are different stages to a fatty liver. And believe it or not, a fatty liver itself is probably about the second or third stage of liver failure. You go on from fatty liver to cirrhosis of the liver. See, there's a difference. Red, it stops at red. Once you get into the red, then what's next is cirrhosis. That means that now you're either going to have to need a liver transplant or it's going to take a miracle to turn that liver around. So when you see a severe fatty liver, and the fatty liver is going to be normal or to the right. Bile secretion is either going to be normal or to the left. Bile is secreted by the liver to help break down fat. Bile breaks down fat. So bile is important when it comes to energy utilization because we burn fat as fuel. We should burn fat as fuel. But when you're dealing with emotions interfere with gland activity and it causes your body to store fat instead of burning it as fuel. So you got to get your emotions right. But what's important on this is the fatty liver. If you're dealing with a moderate or severe fatty liver, my recommendations is you need to detox. Next slide. So now let's go through your heart and your brain. Pull up your cardiovascular and your cerebral vascular report card. First column are the items tested. Second column, normal range, where they should be. The third column is where you are. Color code reflects where you are. So let's start from the top. If you're looking at your heart and brain report, everybody look at their own heart and brain report. Blood viscosity. Remember we were talking about blood viscosity? So blood viscosity is either going to be green, normal, or to the right. Remember, to the right is increase. To the left is decrease. So your blood viscosity is either going to be normal or there's going to be an increase in blood viscosity. Well, doesn't that sound like the viscosity in a car of oil? And how often do we change the oil in our car? How often are we recommended to change the oil in our car? Every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on what kind of car you have. Well, what happens if you don't change the oil? The engine will lock up. So if you guys are looking at a mild, moderate, or severe blood viscosity, there's a good chance that you have thick blood, as you're probably already on blood thinners, because what they're trying to do is thin your blood out, but they're not addressing why it's thick. Blood thinners may be okay, but blood thinners are toxic to the body. And guess what? Blood thinners have to be processed in the liver. If the liver is already fatty, which is the reason why the blood viscosity is at an increase because of the fatty liver, and I give you blood thinners, then what am I doing to your body? I'm making the liver worse. And I'm guaranteeing that you will never come off blood thinners, that you will never come off blood thinners. So blood viscosity is the thickness of your blood. You know how they say your metabolism slow down? Well, no, it's not slowing down. It's just that your blood is getting thick because of the toxicity in your body. You clean your blood, your metabolism speeds right on back up, just like it was in your 20s. It happened to me. Next one is cholesterol crystal. Cholesterol crystal has to do with, of course, your cholesterol levels. That's either going to be normal or to the right. Normal or to the right, which means an increase in cholesterol. Now, some of you may have an increase, mild, moderate, or severe, but you may not even be diagnosed with high cholesterol yet. The difference between the biofeedback technology is that we're able to ascertain the pattern of disease down to 10 cells plus, 10 cells, just 10. Whereas when you go get a CAT scan, MRI, X-ray, they're looking at billions of cells of abnormality. Billions, not 10, but billions. What does that tell you if they're looking at billions of cells of abnormality? It tells you that they can't see anything until it's in the late stages. So that means that you have to be patient. You get it? You're patiently waiting until the progression gets worse. You're patiently waiting until you get into the red. You're patiently waiting until the crisis shows up. That's why we're called patient, because until now, you didn't even know you were progressing towards a crisis. Nobody knew. But when I discovered this technology over 10 years ago, and God dropped it in my lap, literally dropped it in my lap, I didn't know what I had until I began studying it. But I was diligent. I studied it. I was fascinated by it. And by the time I realized what I had, man, it had become a revolution. So cholesterol comes from animal products, animal protein. So if you are a meat eater, there's a good chance that your cholesterol is elevated due to that process. Blood fat. Blood fat is either going to be normal or to the right. A lot of times, blood fat follows the same course as blood viscosity. So if you have, like, let's say, blood viscosity in the yellow, there's a good chance that your blood fat is also in the yellow. What that means is that blood fat represents those triglycerides, those fatty deposits that are in your blood that are at an increase. Because if those fatty deposits are at an increase, then there's a good chance that your viscosity is also at an increase. So in this situation, we need to clean the blood. Why? Because the life of the flesh, the life of the organism is in the blood. And so if we don't clean the blood, then now we're dealing with polluted blood circulating throughout the whole body. We don't want polluted blood to be circulating throughout the whole body, because guess where it's going to drop off at? It's going to drop off at the kidneys. It's going to drop off at the prostate. It's going to drop off at the uterus. It's going to drop off at the eyes. And you're going to start having that macular degeneration. Any type of deterioration or degeneration that's happening in the human body is happening because of toxic waste overload. You're suffocating your tissues and your cells. They can't breathe. Your cells, if your cells can't breathe, then what you create is the number one cause of all disease, which is cellular malfunction. Cellular malfunction is the cause of all diseases. If the cells are malfunctioning in the kidneys, they're going to label it nephritis, because the nephrology department takes care of the kidneys. If it's happening in the liver, you're looking at hepatitis development. If it's happening in the pancreas, you're looking at pancreatitis, which leads to diabetes. All they're doing is labeling it an itis based upon where the toxins are. So when you do the bioscan, we're identifying where your body is storing waste and toxicity. We're not diagnosing you. That's not something we do. We're not about naming categories of toxicity in the body. That's what we're doing in the medical world. They're naming categories of toxicity in the body. Why would I name a category of toxicity and give it power, like cancer or diabetes? Don't give it power. Stop honoring and stop accepting these diagnoses, because when you do that, you're giving a diagnosis power to become an entity in your life. look at it at what it is. Cancer is nothing more than cellular mutation. Cellular mutation is natural to the body. It's as natural as breathing. That means the same air you breathe is the same air that causes metal to rust and apples to turn brown. Imagine that. The same air you're breathing right now causes metal to rust and apples to turn brown when you cut it. That's called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress. That means that the air in the room is stressing out that tissue and it's causing it to turn brown and deteriorate. Well, that same breath, once you inhale, can also affect your tissue and your organs. But here's the difference. The difference is that God knew that the breath that you are breathing is also potentially going to cause oxidative stress. So what did he do? He gave you a supply and arsenal of antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. These are naturally occurring antioxidants in the body that protects your organs from the very air you're breathing. Imagine that. Who knew that breathing is bad for your health? Nobody knew that, you see. But what happens if you're eating a certain type of meal, a certain type of food throughout your life that's depleting your vitamin A, that's depleting your vitamin C, vitamin E? Then guess what you don't have? You don't have the antioxidants to protect you from the very breathing process. What that means is that every day, and this is the reason why every day we all get cancer cells in our body. Every day we all get cancer cells or mutated cells in our body. That's natural. But what's not natural is having an immune system not sufficient enough to destroy those cells before they develop into tumors. So that means that throughout your life, as you weaken your immune system with that sad American diet, that standard American diet is sad as a mnemonic. As you weaken your immune system, those few cells that you were getting every day, now they're gaining momentum and they're becoming tumors. We've always had cancer. We just never had cancer out of control. If you turn a certain age, now your cancer is out of control and you don't have the antioxidants to break it down. You don't have the strong immune system to kill off those cells. Now you're dealing with cancer on a larger scale, but still cancer is not a disease. It's not a disease. It's a natural process that's put in place to preserve life. But if your body is toxic all over, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of cells mutated. But you're not dying because of that mutation. You're dying because of toxicity and hypoxia. Next one is vascular resistance. Vascular resistance is either normal in a green or to the right. Normal or to the right. So in this particular report, this person has a moderate increase in vascular resistance, a moderate increase in vascular resistance. So if you're looking at vascular resistance and you have an increase, this can be indicative of your blood pressure. If you're on blood pressure medication, well, that's indicating the pressure inside the vascular system. It's also how you process your environment. Are you managing stress well? Do you manage stress well? Because maybe there's a way that you're managing it that may not be effective for the body. See, sometimes we're accustomed to how we deal with things. But if how you deal with it is not working for your body, then your vascular resistance is probably at an increase. That means that you need to go back and re-evaluate how you manage stress, how you manage situations and circumstances outside of the human body, or situations and circumstances inside the human body. Remember this, no situation or circumstance is important. What's important is how you respond to it. Your response determines if you preserve your immune system or if you weaken it. You can either be reactive or proactive, but you can't be both. You're either reactive or proactive. When you proact, you choose your response. When you react, you're predictable. And there's a lot of people in the world that are predictable because a lot of people have fear. Fear makes a mass of people predictable. So vascular resistance Has a lot to do with stress, and it can also be reflected in your blood pressure. The next one is vascular elasticity. Vascular elasticity is going to be either normal or to the left. Normal or to the left. Vascular elasticity represents the plaque buildup in the vascular system. So if there's a decrease in elasticity, stretching plaque, elastic, exactly what it says, elastic. When the vessels are no longer as elastic, it's because inside the vessels, you're building up plaque. Plaque hardens the arteries. That's why they call it arterial sclerosis. Sclerosis means a hardening of the arteries. Arterial sclerosis, a hardening of the arteries. This is the foundation of heart disease. It's also the foundation of cerebral vascular disease. You got the slide up there? There we go. Wait, come on back. There we go. So look to your right at the vessel at the top. That's the way it should look. Clean, clear, red blood cells should not be clotting. They should just be flowing through without a problem. But go down to the second one. That's the beginning of plaque buildup. Now, what you're seeing on the second one, that's probably moderate to severe. That's probably moderate to severe. It's like we skipped over something. That's probably moderate to severe because look, the red blood cells are having to go through a smaller space in order to get through a smaller space. Now, let me explain this. You got to get this part. This is important. If the pressure in your body is 120 over 80 at the top vessel, right? 120 over 80. That means that you only need 120 over 80 millimeters of mercury in order to push the nutrients and the oxygen and the red blood cells through the vascular system. 120 over 80, that's normal blood pressure. Drop down to the second one. Can the second one have a blood pressure of 120 over 80? No, it can't, because there's less of an area now through which the blood can flow. So the body has to adjust itself in order to get through a smaller space, which is why the blood pressure goes up. You get it? The blood has to go through a smaller space, which means that the body has to naturally and intelligently raise the pressure to push everything through a smaller space so that you can get the oxygen and the nutrients to your tissues and your cells. If I give you a blood pressure medication to bring your pressure down so it can look good, then what am I doing to your perfusion? What am I doing to your body? I'm going against your body's natural intelligence to save your life. And that's why medication is taking us out, because it's doing everything unnatural that the body knows to do naturally. And look at the last one. The last one, that's not anything but just danger right there, because now it's blocked. Now nothing's getting through. This is the point where people start needing bypass surgery. Let me say this, you guys. It takes years to get from the top to the bottom. If we're not doing anything proactive as this is happening, then guess what? We're only waiting until the crisis shows up. And once we get into the medical arena, now you got to get your heart cut open, your chest cut open. You have to get your heart worked on. You have to get bypass surgery, stents, and all this stuff. And nobody wants that. So let's look at how we can reverse this plaque buildup, okay? Let me go back to the big chart. All right, so now we know that a decrease in elasticity is an increase in plaque. A decrease in elasticity is an increase in plaque buildup in the heart. Myocardial blood demand. Myocardial blood demand. Myocardial means heart. It always means heart. Myocardial blood demand is the amount of blood your heart demands every 60 seconds. Yep, guess what? You have 50 trillion employees that are working to keep you alive. And you have different organizations in there. You have a lot of microbiome, billions of them. You have viruses in your body, and you have your own cells. So you have a community of cells and microorganisms that are designed to keep you alive. If you don't take notice of them and take care of them, then they're not going to take care of you. So anytime the blood demand is to the right, that means that there's an increase in the blood demand. That means that your heart has to work harder to meet that demand. So the blood demand is going to be either green, normal, or to the right, green or to the right. If your heart is working extra hard, it's probably because it's weakening over time. There are three things that weaken the heart: diet, lack of exercise, and stress. Diet, a lack of exercise, and stress over time weakens the heart. As that happens, the heart demands begins to increase as the heart begins to decrease. And let's look down at the next one, which is myocardial blood perfusion volume. So ironically, as the demand increases, the amount of perfusion volume, the amount of blood required to perfuse the heart starts to decrease. When your heart gets weak, the output gets weak. As you weaken the output, now your cells aren't getting on a minute by minute basis the supplies that it needs in order to keep you running efficiently. That's why if you have to run up the stairs real quick, when you're in your 20s, you can run up and run down, not a problem. You get into your 40s and 50s, you run up the stairs, you got to stop and rest. Why? Because your body has to catch up. Because now the oxygen is not moving as fast to the tissues and the cells as it was when you were in your 20s. So you have to pause for a minute, let your body catch up. That's what it means by an increase in demand. If you have a decrease in the blood perfusion volume, that means that you're now at a point where you're starting to become depleted and being able to be running efficiently beyond rest. You know, rest, you can't tell this stuff is going on. But when you're active, that's when you notice that you're not as conditioned as you used to be. Drop down to myocardial oxygen consumption. So this guy right here is in the green, but oxygen consumption is either going to be green and to the right, green and to the right. So oxygen consumption goes hand in hand with myocardial oxygen demand. A lot of times, right now, this one is in the blue. So myocardial oxygen demand is in the blue. But as it moves into the yellow and into the red, you're going to notice that myocardial oxygen consumption is also moving into the blue and into the yellow to the right, because the greater the demand, the more oxygen your heart is going to use. The greater the demand, the more oxygen your heart is going to use. Stroke volume. So stroke represents contraction. It represents contraction. So let me read this. It says it's either going to be normal or to the left. Normal or to the left. So this is saying mildly abnormal. Mildly abnormal. So this is saying that the amount of blood in the heart when it contracts is at a decrease. It's at a mild decrease. The blood in the heart when it contracts. Remember, you have 4 chambers in the heart, right? 2 atrium, 2 ventricles. The 2 atriums at the top, the ventricles at the bottom. When the blood gets into those chambers and they contract, that represents 1 stroke. You get it? So the volume in the heart chamber when it contracts is what it's measuring. So that makes the difference when you're trying to ascertain if your heart is weak or if your heart is strong. This is a situation where the person's heart is gradually starting to get weaker. So therefore, the stroke volume is starting to decline. Well, that means now we need to clean the blood. We know that blood viscosity and blood fat. Now we need to strengthen the heart. So now we have 2 objectives. I'm sorry. We have 3 objectives. Clean the blood, dissolve the plaque, strengthen the heart. Clean the blood, dissolve the plaque, strengthen the heart. Those are your objectives so far, so good. Left ventricular ejection impedance. This is either going to be green or to the right. Anytime there's an increase in impedance, which means resistance, you're talking about the increase in resistance to the left ventricle ejecting the blood out. Well, think about it. When the blood goes from the atrium, the left atrium, into the left ventricle ejects the blood out and sends it up to the entire body. It goes through that big blood vessel called the aorta. That's the big one that comes off the heart. If there's any impedance, if there's any resistance to that blood coming out the heart, that's going to delay the blood getting to the brain, because your brain is over your heart. So your heart has to pump against gravity in order to get to the brain. So if there's any type of impedance that you guys are seeing on your report, it could be the vascular elasticity up top, because the vascular elasticity represents the plaque buildup on top of the heart. We're going to get to the blood vessels on the heart pretty soon, but I just want you to know that vascular elasticity represents the blood vessels on top of the heart. So when the blood comes from the left ventricle, if there's any plaque up there, there's going to be some impedance. So that's why we want to dissolve the plaque. When you dissolve the plaque, guess what happens? The impedance decreases. You can decrease the impedance when you dissolve the plaque. Left ventricular effective pump power. Now, take a look. It's either going to be normal or to the left. That means a decrease. A decrease in what? The strength of your heart. Well, now everything makes sense, because now you're seeing that there is a decrease, a moderate decrease in the pump power in this report. So that justifies the decrease in perfusion volume. That justifies the increase in myocardial blood demand. That justifies the decrease in stroke volume. So now we know without a shadow of a doubt that we have a weaker heart and we need to strengthen that heart. That's how we troubleshoot using this information. So yeah, if you're not exercising, guess what? You do need to exercise, because when you exercise, you strengthen the heart. When you don't exercise, stress weakens the heart. Get it? So pump power is at a decrease, or it's going to be normal. Now let's get into the last four. The next one is coronary artery elasticity. Coronary artery elasticity. Now these are the blood vessels on the heart. Now this is where I saw my plaque build up in my coronary arteries back in 2011. I saw that I had a moderate buildup of plaque. Now that didn't make sense to me. So therefore, I took the information for face value. I didn't have any unbelief. I believed it. I worked on it. 30 days, I rescanned. Now, I'm not saying rescan in 30 days, but I was aggressive. I wanted to make sure that whatever I was seeing, that I can correct. And it took me 8 months to go from having 3 moderate abnormalities, 4 mild abnormalities, to all green. It took me 8 months to put my heart back into all green. And that was the year I won the championship. But that was the year also that I had returned back to my prime. But I knew I returned back to my prime, because when I looked at the data said, yep, you're back in your prime. But I had to do it intentionally and deliberately. I couldn't just think that I was going to be back there. I had to work. That's why faith without work is dead. This process is about putting the work in. Coronary perfusion pressure can be either to the right or to the left. If you have it to the right, that means there's an increase in pressure inside your coronaries. If it's to the left, that means that there's a decrease in pressure inside your coronaries. Now, coronary elasticity, that's only going to be normal to the left. Because remember, if you decrease the elasticity, that means that there's an increase of plaque. But when it comes to coronary perfusion pressure, you're either going to have high pressure, normal pressure, or low pressure in your coronaries. You don't want high pressure, and you don't want low pressure. You want normal pressure, because you want to be able to perfusion. The word perfusion means the exchange of gases back and forth from the blood into the tissue. Perfusion. So if there's an increase of pressure in your coronaries, then that's going to affect how well the nutrients and the oxygen get into the tissue, just as if there's low pressure. You don't want low and you don't want high. You want it to be normal. The last two are the only two dealing with your brain. Cerebral blood vessel elasticity. Well, now we know a little bit about elasticity now. If it's normal, no elasticity. If it's to the left, you're building up plaque in the brain. What does that lead to? Strokes. Brain tissue blood supply status. That's either going to be normal or to the left. there's a good chance that you may have a normal cerebral blood vessel elasticity and a decrease in brain tissue blood supply stats. Well, that means that the problem is not in the brain. The problem is in the heart. That means that the heart, maybe through left ventricular impedance, maybe through a weakened heart, is not getting that blood supply to the brain. Or it could be plaque buildup in the brain. So it can either be plaque buildup in the brain that's affecting the blood supply, or it can be the inefficiency of the heart that's affecting the blood supply. Okay? So that's your cardiovascular, cerebrovascular report card. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry if I'm being a little long-winded. I'm a teacher. So gastrointestinal function. So now look at your gastrointestinal function. This is your digestive system, you guys. We're almost to the end. Hold on. Just hold on. I want you guys to live, but you got to notice there are medical doctors that are sitting down with me and they're humbling themselves and they're learning this stuff. One of my favorite doctors, Dr. Thomas. He's OB-GYN, but man, he seems like a holistic doctor, to be honest with you. And he's helping me to put together my athletic program. And that's a blessing to have a medical doctor on the holistic side to assist in changing the world. So take a look at your gastrointestinal tract. Pepsin. Pepsin is either going to be normal or to the left. Normal or to the left. What is pepsin? Pepsin is an enzyme designed to break down protein. So if you have a decrease in pepsin, there's a good chance that the heavy animal consumption has caused you to deplete your own enzymes. It has caused you to deplete your own store of natural enzymes. Think about it for a second. Soon as we got teeth, we was imposed upon with the animal protein. We started eating meat, beef, chicken, pork, whatever. As long as we had teeth, we was able to eat it. Not realizing that those teeth was really for plant protein. They weren't for animal protein. Your kids didn't have dog fangs. If they did, then you could have fed them meat. No, your kid had flat teeth like a horse, flat teeth like a cow, flat teeth like a giraffe. All of these animals are herbivores. They don't eat meat. And we have the same characteristics as those animals. Not only that, but look at how a giraffe chews. Look at how a cow chews. See how that jaw is moving? Look at how a horse chews, circular motion. God does not make mistakes. If you want to know what we should be doing in our life script, turn to nature. Nature will give you the evidence of who we really are. We're out here like herbivores trying to eat like carnivores. That's why heart disease is the #1 cause of death in America. We're clogging up and shutting down our engine. So if your pepsin is at a decrease, it's because you're depleted your natural enzymes and it's time to replenish them. So we got to take a break for 3 weeks off the meat, off the dairy, off the cooked food. We got to put you on a raw fruit and vegetable juice regimen, raw food regimen, and we have to detoxify the system. Also, I want to say this. This is important. Listen. You do not want to do protein, extra protein powder during the cleanse. You do not want to do extra protein powder during the cleanse, especially if you're dealing with something serious. If you're on medication, if you have a diagnosis, you need to be doing a straight fast with the longevity nutrition or the regenerator, which is the superfood, with the parasite mucus buster, which goes in, it cleans out the mucus, and it also kills the parasites. And also the liquid colonic detox tea, which is the purifier. These are designed to reverse all of these conditions. And if your condition is caused by excessive protein, then doesn't it make sense not to be doing extra protein during a cleanse? This is what I wanted to point out because I've been getting some reports of people who have been having high blood pressure readings because they was doing the protein instead of doing the actual juice. I know it's easy to just throw some protein into a juice and mix it up and drink it, but stop being lazy with your health. Do not be lazy. I don't care if it's hard, if it takes a long time to clean that juice. If so what? You're talking about your life. You have to put a value on your life that's worthy of the time it takes to heal your body. The greatest invention on the planet is the juice extractor, because you can't eat 10 servings of fruits and vegetables and get the same type of energy conservation, preservation that you would if you're drinking it. So when you juice your fruits and vegetables and you put that superfood in, you don't have to expend any energy. You don't have to break down any excessive protein. Your body goes through a process of autophagy. Autophagy is the recycling of defective protein. So you don't need protein during the cleanse because your body is going to recycle your defective protein and it's going to make it quality protein. So you don't need anything extra. So pepsin is probably going to be at a decrease. The next two, gastric peristalsis function, gastric absorption function. Anytime it says gastric, it's talking about the stomach. What do we break down and digest in the stomach without hydrochloric acid? Protein. If you eat a complete protein, let's take, for example, chicken breast. Chicken breast is called a complete protein. That means it has all of the essential amino acids that you need. But hold on 1 second. Don't go nowhere. Okay, so sorry about that. I was making sure this didn't go out on me, you guys. So gastric peristalsis and gastric absorption, that's either going to be normal or to the left, which means decrease. Now we understand the report. If there's a decrease in your gastric peristalsis function, that means that there's a decrease in the muscle contraction that moves the food through your body. Your whole gastrointestinal tract is lined with muscle, circular muscle, longitudinal muscle, horizontal muscle, but nonetheless muscle. And if you stood on your head and you ate food, which I wouldn't advise, the food will still be moved up towards your anus in order to be moved out because the muscles are moving it in that direction. But look at here. There's a moderate decrease in the gastric peristalsis function. There's a moderate decrease in the gastric absorption function. What does that mean? That means that your muscles in your stomach is not breaking down the protein like it used to. Not only that, you're not absorbing the amino acids. Well, the reason you're probably not absorbing amino acids is because you're not breaking it down. You have to break down the complete protein, get to the amino acids, and then you have to absorb those amino acids into your stream so your body can synthesize whatever protein it needs to repair your body. That's the process of protein synthesis. If you're not breaking down your protein, then guess what happens? You now have undigested protein moving through your gastrointestinal tract, causing blockage, constipation, and pressure. Blockage, constipation, and pressure. That means your sewer system is blocked. When your sewer system gets blocked, just like when it rains, there's a flood back into the organs, just like there's a flood back into the streets. If you don't clear out your main sewer system, you cannot heal from anything. What's first and foremost in the healing process is cleaning out your gut. And not only the blockage, but also the mucus. That's why we have something called the Parasite Mucus Buster. Parasite Mucus Buster. These are products that I've been using for 10 years to help people win the battle against cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, you name it. These are the essentials. Some of you may need some extra products. If that's the case and you're dealing with something else, then that's where I come in to add maybe some additional products on it. But the three top products are sufficient. The protein powder that comes with some of these products, the protein powder should be used after the cleanse. The protein powder should be post-detox regimen. The protein powder should be post-detox regimen because once you cleaned your body out, now You have the energy, you have your vitality. Now you can work out. Now you can start rebuilding your body with good protein instead of going straight back to animal protein. Get you some shakes in, some smoothies in after the cleanse, and watch how you don't be hungry. Watch how you're satiated to the point where you don't want any food, you don't want any meat. You just need this protein drink, which is a meal replacement, and that drink will take you through hours, probably even through a good workout. Okay, so I want you to start shifting your mind towards protein in the post detox, not during the cleanse, post detox. So gastric peristalsis is a muscle contraction. If that's to the left, then you've weakened your muscles. If the gastric absorption is to the left, you're dealing with mucus or blockage, or you're not breaking down your protein. In this situation, we got to clean out the stomach. Drop down to the small intestines, peristalsis and absorption, same thing. It's either going to be green or to the left. If there's a decrease in the muscle contraction in your small intestines, then that means that you are not breaking down and moving the food through your small intestines. Also, you're not absorbing the vitamins and minerals, because you absorb a lot of your vitamins and minerals in your small intestines, just like you absorb the amino acids from your protein in your stomach. So you have protein metabolism in the stomach, and you have carbohydrates and nutrient metabolism in your intestines. If there's mucus buildup in your small intestines, there's a good chance that the vitamins, the supplements that you're taking, that somebody told you to take because they're good for you, there's a good chance that they're not even getting into your bloodstream because you're dealing with mucus in your system. This is the one thing people miss. They say, well, I'm taking vitamin D, I'm taking vitamin C, I'm taking vitamin E. I take it every day. My first question to them is, are you absorbing it? They're like, I don't know if I'm absorbing it, but I'm taking it. Should I be absorbing it if I'm taking it? No, because if you have mucus build up in your system, you're not absorbing those vitamins and minerals. So you have expensive stool. You're not absorbing it, so it's just coming right out in your bowel movement. And guess what happens? You become more deficient even though you're taking vitamins and minerals. That's why you have to clean the mucus out and you have to kill the parasites. Otherwise, you can't get beyond vitamin and mineral deficiency. Next slide. Large intestines. So your large intestines, same thing, peristalsis. If it's at a decrease, that means that there's some muscle contraction failure in your large intestines. Now remember, your large intestines is the last channel before the waste leaves your body. It's also the channel where a lot of your gut bacteria is. Well, gut bacteria is throughout the whole gastrointestinal tract, but it's very powerful there because also colonic absorption, intestinal bacteria is either going to be green or to the right. I'm sorry, green or to the left, green or to the left. Anytime there's a decrease in absorption, that means that you're dealing with some blockage in your large intestines. Peristalsis to the left, that means that you're dealing with a sluggish digestion and a sluggish elimination. You're not eliminating as fast as you're consuming. If you're not slowing down the consumption, but yet your peristalsis action in the large intestines is at a decrease, then that means that you're just putting everything into a porta potty and ain't nothing moving. You're just putting it right on in, and it's all just building up in your gut. That's why you see people with the large gut sticking out, because it's just like a porta potty. So we need to clean out the whole gastrointestinal tract with liquid Drano, but it's really called liquid colonic. But it's like liquid Drano, because if you don't clear out the main sewer system, then you're not going to heal from any condition. Intestinal bacteria. Do you know that 70% of your immune system is in your gut? And it's the intestinal bacteria that's keeping you alive. Without that bacteria, you wouldn't live long. You know why? Because the bacteria in your gut, and there are multiple strains, and there are billions upon billions of these little things in communities in your body that's keeping you alive. You know what they're doing? They're working. They're creating anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 different enzymes for the body to function. So if you're not taking care of your gut health, then you're weakening your ability to operate, to behave, to act, to move, because every movement requires an enzyme. Blinking, lifting your arms, everything requires enzymes. And guess what? It's those microorganisms in your gut that are helping you to stay alive. So if that's at a decrease, then guess what we have to do? That means that you have more harmful bacteria in your gut from the heavy consumption of probably animal protein than you have helpful and beneficial bacteria. So we have to just clean house. Clean house. Let's get rid of the blockage. Let's get rid of mucus. Let's get rid of the harmful bacteria. Let's just flush it all out. And then start repopulating with probiotics. You see the difference, how we clear out? It's like if you start putting probiotics into a toxic environment, the harmful bacteria, guess what's going to happen? Is going to recruit the probiotics, and the probiotics now become harmful bacteria. So let's get rid of all the harmful bacteria, all the mucus, all the waste, any blockage, and then we can reset your immune system. And it can start functioning the way it's supposed to function. So if you have autoimmune disease, you can reset your immune system and put it back into normal function and order. And the last one is intraluminal pressure. As you can see, that's either going to be normal or to the right? Because it's when you talk about pressure, you're talking about an increase in pressure. An increase in pressure means that there's some blockage down there that's pushing against the walls that's causing the constipation. Okay, so if you're looking at your report and you're looking at anything in the yellow or the red on here, you definitely want to start the cleanse. Okay, next one. We're almost done. 2 more. We already went over this one. Kidneys. All right. How are your kidneys looking? Are you looking at your kidney reports? All right, so let's look at the kidney report. All of these, urobility, uric acid, blood urea nitrogen, which is also called BUN, and proteinuria. These are all waste products that are filtered out through the kidneys. These are all waste products created by the body through metabolism. So these are not bad waste products. These are just waste products. But they're either going to be normal or to the right. That means that if they're moving from mild to moderate to severe, that's an indication that your kidneys are starting to lose its ability to filter the waste out of your blood. You see, if it starts losing that ability to filter the waste, then now you're moving towards an elevated, what they call creatinine levels. This is how they check to see if you're dealing with kidney failure. If your creatinine levels are going up, that means you're not filtering it out. If your GFR, your filtration rate is declining, that means you're not filtering out these waste products. So that means that you're gradually moving towards kidney failure. So remember I was telling you about the gentleman in 2017, when I did his kidney report, he had a few things in the yellow, uric acid in the yellow, proteinuria in the yellow. And guess what? He was vegan. He was vegan. It didn't matter if he was doing animal protein or plant protein. If you're not flushing your system on a regular basis, all protein is going to catch up to you. I detox and cleanse at least once or twice a year. Sometimes I may throw in a 7 days. Sometimes I may throw in a 3 weeks. But the bottom line is that I want to stay healthy. So I'm going to clean out and reset my immune system, reset my digestive system at least once or twice a year. So I will stop aging past 12 months. This is how you stop aging past 12 months, because when you reset, just like you do a computer, you clear out all the junk that causes the computer to crash. Just like when you detox, you clear out all of the junk that causes your body to crash. Same thing here. So if you're looking at any one of these items to the right, then you need to flush and detoxify your kidneys along with your liver in order to reverse any condition that you may be taking medication for, to reverse any condition that you may have been diagnosed with. Let me say this, your diagnosis is not permanent unless you believe it is. Your diagnosis is not permanent. You can reverse any condition because you can rewrite your genes. You can, let me say that again. You can reverse any condition in your body because you can rewrite your genetics. That means that you can go in and you can change the expression of diabetes in your bloodline. You can change you can change the expression of heart disease in your bloodline, like I did. Once I knew that I was starting to express heart disease, I went in and I rewrote my genes. I rewrote my book. And I rewrote my genes to say no more heart disease, no more cancer, no more diabetes in my family. Not only that, but my son, Aviel Zion Prince, I raised him vegan. From the time he was born, he had breast milk for 3 years. He was walking up to his mom's breast and he was drinking milk from her breast. She wasn't pumping. He just walked on up and had his daily milk. And let me tell you, it takes a lot of support. I'm not going to say that that's easy, ladies. I know it's not. That's why you need the right companion. So make sure if you're planning to have children, make sure you have the right companion, because it takes two to make that happen. It takes two to raise a child. It takes a community to raise a child, but initially it takes two people to raise that child. And you have to think about this. Breast milk possesses a powerful steroid content that's undetectable by different tests. So that's why you have bodybuilders that are actually buying mother's milk, breast milk online. So bodybuilders are drinking women's milk. Well, if that's the case, then imagine if your child drank that milk for anywhere from 6 to 8 months. What type of development would they have? That's God's immunity. That's God's immunization. Mother's milk. That's why you have breasts. You're not going to use the breast. Never mind. I ain't going to go there. So anyway, let's go to the next one. Is your body acidic? So this is our last one, you guys. So let's start from the top on down. So responsibility. Your response ability is either going to be green or to the left. Green or to the left. A lot of people, this is still in the green, but if it's mild, I haven't really seen anybody with a moderate or a severe responsibility or a mental power. Maybe water shortage and hypoxia and pH, but when it comes to responsibility, it has a lot to do with how your body is responding, how your adrenals, how do you respond to stress? Are you so stressed that your response is slow? Because if you're dealing with stress on a regular basis, the way you deal with stress, and it's not working for you, then what happens is you start to lose the ability to respond quickly. And so that starts to decline over time until you address it. Mental power is the same thing. Mental power, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety or something like that, then sometimes your mental power will have a tendency of declining because your mind is not right. And so you want to get the mind right so that you can have the right mental power to accomplish anything. And sometimes that's one of the reasons why people need a wellness coach, because if they don't have the best response ability to circumstances, if they don't have the best mental power, they're dealing with some depression. And let me tell you this, if your liver is clogged, there's a good chance you may be experiencing some depression, because serotonin, which is a happy hormone, is produced in the liver as well. So when that liver gets clogged and you're not getting that happy hormone, then it brings you into depression. And that can decrease your mental power, and it can also decrease your responsibility. Water shortage. Are you getting your water in? Are you drinking half your body weight in ounces a day? Half your body weight in ounces. Take your weight, cut it in half, and that's how many ounces a day you should be drinking of water. I'm not talking about on the cleanse. I'm just talking about in general. You know, I'm 180 pounds, so I should be drinking about 90 ounces a day of water, which is maybe about 3/4 a gallon. And that's okay because I work out. And then when I work out, I drink extra water. So I'm not worried about my water content. But if you have water shortage, you have to understand that every cell in your body lives in a water environment, because your body is 60 to 70% water. So when your water starts declining, that's when your health starts declining as well. And it's not important just to drink a lot of water, but when you eat a lot of food, let's say acidic food, meat, your body will retain water in order to protect your cells. Your body will retain water to protect your cells. So that's why when people start detoxing and their body becomes alkaline, you see a lot of water weight come off of them. You see their face slim down. The body starts slimming down. You start becoming more lean because your cells don't need the protection like it does in that acidic state. And you drop down to hypoxia. Hypoxia is a lack of oxygen in the blood. If that's going to be either normal or to the left. Normal to the left, which means a decrease in oxygen in the system. And that's something that you definitely don't want to happen, because as soon as that oxygen starts declining, remember what I told you, cancer is an anaerobic condition. Anaerobic, it occurs in the absence of oxygen. But you can have a normal hypoxia reading, but you can have a decrease in your pH. So now let's talk about the final one, your pH. Is your body acidic? Well, if you're looking at an indicator to the left of the green, then you have an acidic body. And let me tell you about your body. When your body is acidic, remember that disease cannot survive in an alkaline body. It may form, but it will not prosper. It may form in an alkaline body, but it will not prosper. So don't think just because your body is alkaline that you're immune to disease. No, disease can form in any body, alkaline or acidic. But the difference is, in an alkaline body, it's going to be thrashed and it's going to be eliminated a little bit sooner than later. If your body is acidic, disease is going to thrive because it thrives in an acidic environment. You breed cancer, you breed heart disease, diabetes, that happens in an acidic body. What's making our body acidic? Our lifestyle. Meat is an acidic substance. When meat breaks down, it turns into urea. Urea turns into uric acid. We saw that on the kidney report. So if you're seeing elevated uric acid levels, elevated bun levels, then you're looking at an excessive amount of animal protein that you've been taking in all your life that has made your body acidic. Our diet should be 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. When we grew up, it was the opposite. It was 80% acidic, 20% alkaline. That 20% was that salad that nobody ate at the barbecue. That pan that stayed there, nobody opened it, but all the meat was eaten. The spaghetti, the pasta, even the coleslaw, but not that raw salad. And you had to have a coleslaw with everything else it wouldn't taste right. So if your body is acidic, unfortunately, you're like a dying battery. A battery that's dying over time. Okay, so the goal is you want to reverse this process. You want to go from an acidic body to an alkaline body. You can do that. The more alkaline your blood is, the more oxygen rich. The more acidic your blood is, the more oxygen deprived. You don't want to deprive your body of oxygen because we already know what happens when the cells can't get any oxygen. They mutate. So what I discovered, unfortunately, is that out of hundreds, reaching thousands of scans, I discovered that everyone that eats meat is moving towards acidity, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes inevitably. It's inevitable. That means that you have to seriously take a look at what your life looks like now and decide that you want to make some changes. This is the process that we're giving you to make the changes. We've done the research. We've done the work. The testimonies are endless. You now have to become your own testimony. But let me tell you, we can guarantee you, if you do this the way we tell you to do it, and you follow our guide and you are coachable, you will have a youth in your older years that you've never had before, even better than when you were in your 20s. Heck, I just did a workout on the indoor track for the first time because it's getting cold up here. So now I'm on the indoor track. November, December, I'm indoor training. January, based upon my cleansing lifestyle, based upon my diet, based upon my mind state, how I manage stress, based upon all of that, I'm able now to get ready to run the college circuit in Chicago and throughout the country. I may stay only in Illinois just because, it's cold. I may go up to Michigan. I may go up to Wisconsin, depending on if it's a good meet. But I'm going to be running Division 1, 2, and 3 collegiate track and field. Right now I'm 54, so the competitors are now 30 years younger than me, chronologically. Biologically, we're here. So it doesn't matter how long I've been on the planet. Once you start this process, once you start reversing your biological age, then you too will have access to your youth, and your skin shall be fresher than a child's, and you shall return to the days of your youth. The book of Job. Any questions?
Hey, I have a question.
Okay.
Are you able to work out while you're on your cleanse?
Yes. In fact, I recommend that you work out, but no weight training during the
Okay,
cleanse.
that's exactly what I do. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
weight training. And this is important. People need to know this. You don't want to lift weights during the cleanse. One is because when you start lifting weights, you're breaking down protein. So you're creating what's called metabolic waste. Remember, the cleanse is about clearing out the toxic waste. So you don't want to start giving priority to metabolic waste when your body is working on the toxic waste. So just do cardio. Cardio is great. And let me tell you, cardio during the cleanse, you'll feel like you're in a boot camp, but you won't feel the rigor. If you go out and you're walking anywhere from let's say from 2 to 3 times a week during the cleanse, and you're doing anywhere from 3 to 4 miles, and you don't have to do it as aggressive, but just get a good walk in and don't be on your phone talking. Maybe have music on. Get that walk in and watch how every day of the cleanse, you're going to feel like you can walk an extra mile every day. You're going to be up to 5 miles. You're going to be up to 6 miles. You're going to be walking so much because you have all this energy. And guess what? You're also burning fat at the same time. It's the easiest way that I know to get weight off your body without going through all the stress and the rigor of a boot camp or a personal trainer. So the cleanse does just that. It gets the weight off of you, and it gets you back to that ideal shape and that ideal weight.
Okay, so basically you can do Stairmaster, any type of cardio, or
I wouldn't
just
say
walking?
I probably would stay away from the Stairmaster. I would maybe the elliptical and treadmill.
Okay.
But Stairmaster, that's kind of lifting weights in a sense, So push-ups, sit-ups is okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Prince, I have a question. This was learned a lot. I heard you speaking on protein, like when you make smoothies and use protein powder. So when you're doing the cleanse, so even with our protein powder, you saying when you're on the cleanse, don't do that protein powder, or we can do that protein powder?
It depends on it will depend upon your goals. If you're not on any medication and you just want to, do the cleanse, work out a little bit, and lose a little weight, then yeah, that may not be a problem. But for the people, this is a condition for the people that are dealing with a diagnosis and medication. People that have a diagnosis and medication, now the protein powder, food replacement, that's not your goal. Your goal is to detoxify the body, reverse the diagnosis, and get off the medication. You can't do that if you're taking in protein powder while your body going through autophagy is trying to recycle the defective protein. Let your body, you got more than enough defective protein in your body to last you more than 3 weeks. So to add more on top of that, it will cause you to probably elevate your blood pressure or blood sugar, or it could cause some other issues. So yeah, just stick with the superfood during the cleanse if you have a diagnosis and you're on medication.
Okay. That's good to know. And secondly, so no, as far as the juicing and things like that, we know that's great. But then now that we have the amazing Arona berry, I know we're not getting enough of the liquid, so we still have to drink more water, what have you. So
Mhm.
when we're doing the cleanse, I'm not talking about outside the cleanse, we know it's great, but when we're doing the cleanse, having the 1.5 ounces 2 times a day and maybe drinking more water, is that still, is this full of
Yeah. The
antioxidant
Arona,
itself?
yeah, the Aronia berry is great during the cleanse. I tell people that during the cleanse, like if you have certain supplements that you take on a regular basis that are liquid or powder, then you may be able to do them as well during the cleanse. So like if you have like vitamin D spray or vitamin D liquid or vitamin E liquid, that you could take that stuff during the cleanse. You know why? Because even during the cleanse, it will be better absorbed. You absorb everything better when you detox. That's why when you cleanse, you put your body in a fasting state. You get rid of the mucus. So guess what now you're doing? Whatever you take during that cleanse is getting close to 100% into your bloodstream. Maybe not
Mhm.
100%, but very close, a lot closer than if you're just taking it on a regular basis. So I would say if you have certain supplements that you took normally, you can probably take them during the cleanse, but don't. But make sure that the main products are priority. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Hmm. Go ahead. Who is this?
We
State your
this is
name, you guys. I don't know who's talking.
this is Belinda Hadnot from Houston.
Hey,
Um, hello. When you do the detox, should you detox the entire day with no food, or like maybe once or twice, like breakfast, lunch, or
mhm.
twice a day, or should it be the whole entire day?
Well, you don't want to do a fast. So a fast is when you just don't eat anything, unless you're doing intermittent fasting, but that's not a part of the cleanse. This cleanse is about um, doing a three juice regimen. So you're looking at three juices. You're looking at a morning, midday, evening. You're doing anything from 16 ounces to 24 ounces. For women, it's usually about 16 ounces times three. Men, it's about 24 ounces times three. If you're a woman and you want to do 24 ounces, that's not a problem. But just don't do less than 16 ounces per juice. And in every juice, based upon the regimen, you're going to be putting your powders in your juice. But you do not put your stuff in until you're about to drink it. Don't prep your juices and then put the powders in and put them in the refrigerator and then just drink them throughout the week. Now, you can prep your juices for a whole week. If you choose to cleanse with us, make sure that you go do a regimen review with your coach and make sure if you're dealing with a diagnosis, if you're dealing with medication, make sure that I get the bioscan so that I can make sure I customize the regimen specifically for what's going on in your body. If you're just trying to lose a little weight, that's not a big issue. But if you're trying to get off blood pressure medication, if you're trying to shrink a fibroid, if you're trying to shrink a cancer tumor, then I need to be a part of that process to make sure that you are successful. Me, along with the wellness coach, we're going to make sure that we have double coverage and double support to make sure you get through. This is about family taking care of family. This is about us taking care of us because unfortunately, the medical system has been failing us. So therefore, we have to create a holistic healthcare program that works. The program works. So when you do this program, we take you off meat, dairy, and cooked food for 3 weeks. You understand? Meat, mucus, dairy, mucus, cooked food, mucus. Did you know cooked food creates mucus in the body as well? But if you balance that cooked food with raw food, that's why you want to eat cooked and raw together. It cuts down on the mucus production in your body. But if you just do all cooked food, then you're going to create levels of mucus in your body that's going to accumulate day after day after day to the point where you're covering that gastrointestinal lining and the nutrients can't get through into the bloodstream. So you got to get the mucus out. You got to kill the parasites. You got to get the blockage out. You got to nourish your cells. And when doing this, you're removing all the boundaries to the healing process, and your body, which is a self-regulating organism, will heal itself. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Also, to answer
I
the
think
question,
John had a question.
John had a question.
Yes, sir. John from Dallas, Texas.
Hey,
I have
John, how you feeling?
I'm feeling I have sarcoidosis in my lungs and my kidneys, and I
Okay.
also have fatty liver disease, and I have not had a bioscan. I'm still not sure what that is,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I just wanted to know if that the cleanse that you are talking about has it helped people with sarcoidosis and so forth?
Yes, I've dealt with that. I've dealt with that for over 10 years now, and there's nothing that we haven't reversed. And I do mean nothing. The only thing that has challenged me was kidney failure, a person on dialysis. That was a little challenge, but now we got that under control. Another one was type 1 diabetes. Now we got that under control. So there's really nothing now that we can't reverse. In your situation, you want to get with someone in Dallas, and we got some people online in Dallas that can do your scan. Now, I want you to
I
listen to
was
this,
actually
Gigi.
invited by Gigi.
Okay, so Gigi's looking at us right now. So when she does your scan, she's gonna send your scan to me, so that I can take a look at it. We need to customize your regimen specifically for that condition, sarcoidosis, because the main products are gonna deal with it, but we want to make sure that we nourish everything in order to turn that around. So that what that means is that once you do your scan and I analyze it, I'm going to customize a regimen. I'm going to send it to you, send it to Gigi. When you get your regimen, we're gonna review that regimen together. Me, you, Gigi, Sharon, my fiance. We're gonna review that together to make sure that you understand what's going on in your body and you understand the instructions and the directions that you need in order to reverse this condition. As long as you follow the instructions, you should be okay. There shouldn't be a problem as long as you follow instructions. The cleanse is not going to be simple and easy, but it's going to be bearable and it's going to be durable, and it's already a proven method. And like I was telling people before, just because you have a diagnosis doesn't mean you have to hold on to it. You have the power to rewrite your genetics. You have the ability to shut down the expression of sarcoidosis. Once you shut down the expression of it, that doesn't mean you don't have it anymore. It just means that you're no longer expressing it. Just like I may still have the genetics for heart disease, but I will never express it. You get it? That's what they call epigenetics. Epigenetics means that your genes, you're not bound by your genetic expression. Epigenetics means the expression of your genes is outside, which means your environment, which also means your thoughts. So your thoughts can make you sick, just like your thoughts can make you well. But once we start cleansing your body and you start modifying your eating, because you're gonna have to make some changes. Your success in this process is gonna be in direct proportion to what you're willing to sacrifice. And you're gonna have to give up some of those four-legged creatures. Anything with eyeballs and parents, children. You're gonna have to be willing to step away from them if you really want to heal. Okay?
Dr. Price,
Yes, Prince.
this is Dr. Prince, sorry. This is Grandmother Walks on Water. Could you
Hey,
talk
how you?
about, hey, could you talk about the science of how sound helps us to heal our physiology?
Yeah, well, sound, well, if you think about frequency, which is why the bioscan is so powerful, because the bioscan is designed to measure the frequency of cell division in the body based upon algorithms. So every time a cell divides, it gives off an electromagnetic frequency. That frequency is picked up by the bioscan and it's measured. That's how we know, based upon the frequency of the cell division in the different organ systems, we know where your body is storing waste and toxicity, because it lowers the vitality, it lowers the frequency. There's a frequency of disease. It's about 58 megahertz. So when you start doing things that lower the frequency, one thing that lowers your frequency is meat. Meat lowers the frequency of the body and it takes you into the disease frequency. Guess what else lowers the frequency?
What?
Negative emotions. Negative emotions lowers your frequency, puts you in a negative state of mind. That's why your body, through frequency, can make you sick. But it's you making yourself sick. You may say to somebody, you make me sick. No, you are making yourself sick because through proactivity, you have free will. You can choose to proact to that condition, or you can choose to react. If you react, a lot of times it's a negative emotion, which is going to send negative signals to your cells, and it's going to start to decrease your frequency. But yeah, if you're using sound, you can do meditation. Meditation is about elevating your frequency. Music, you can use music. They're now showing how music can elevate the frequency of healing. They have different modalities, different mats, different technologies where you can lay down on the mat and it can start sending you positive frequency, which can help to recenter the body and heal the body. There's so many natural modalities that we can use to heal the body until we don't have to just keep going through the allopathic system, getting drugs and medication. That's the old way. That way is actually already outdated. It's just that most of the world don't know it yet. Most people are starting to move into energy work. I do Reiki. Reiki is basically called universal energy. Reiki is universal energy. And through your hands, that's why you see these crystals on me. These crystals represent the energy that I'm able to amplify and magnify while I'm going through energy work dealing with clients. So I have all type of crystals on me because the more you cleanse, the more you detox, the higher your consciousness goes, the higher your frequency goes, the more of an empath you become. So you got to protect your field from food that lowers your field. And guess what? You have to protect it from people. People can be just as toxic and low vibration as the food you eat. So yeah, energy is everything because everything is energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Prince,
Yes.
Kalila from Oakland, California.
Hey.
Is it anyone, how are you? Is it anyone in this area that has the bioscan?
I believe we do have some people in California. Gigi, we got anybody in California you know of?
We have two people that's in California. One is in the Oakland area, and the other one is in I want to say it's wine country. What do they call it?
Napa?
Napa Valley?
Napa. Yeah, Napa Valley. Yeah.
And
Okay,
one in Los Angeles as well.
Okay, I'm in Oakland.
Okay.
Okay,
So
well,
we
it
do.
would
We
be
got
Marshall.
somebody out there. We just got to connect you to that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't, whoever she can connect with, kind of inbox her your information so she can talk to you directly. And so here's another thing I want to say, you guys, is that we opened the door to you training to become a coach. I train you through modules on Zoom. If you're away, we train you on the bioscan technology. We certify you, and now you have a business. You have a business that's growing rapidly. I'm talking about rapidly. This isn't some business where you just make a little bit on the side. No, the world is changing fast. We need hundreds of thousands of wellness coaches out there. We only have a few hundred across the country, but in 10 years, we're going to have several thousands, tens of thousands across the country, because everyone right now, as you go through the cleanse, you become qualified to become a wellness coach. You pay the fee to become a coach, and then you go through the training. You take a test. You're going to have to take a test because we want to make sure you know what you're talking about. And then guess what? You join a wonderful national team in what we call holistic healthcare. And we're moving fast throughout the country. This is not just the fad. This is not something temporary. This is permanent. This is going to be the new rule when it comes to healthcare. Because what's the root word of health? Heal. We heal in this industry. There's not any healing going on in the medical industry. There's more treatment going on in the medical industry. And let me say this, they have their place. But at some point, you're going to start seeing hospitals closing down because people are going to start taking more proactive, preventative approaches to treating and addressing their issues. Once you start becoming more proactive, there is no more crisis. Because if it doesn't show up if you don't see it on a scan, it's not going to show up. You know, if you see plaque build up in your coronaries and plaque build up in your cerebral blood vessels, one thing you do know is that if you don't do anything, you're looking at a heart attack or a stroke. And we have enough examples of people who decided not to do anything, and they wind up having strokes either a year or 2 or 3 years later. We don't want that. If we scan you, we want to help. This is not a hustle. This is a mandate. This is a purpose that God has given us. We are putting our lives on the line to save our people. I know I am. And so therefore I take it seriously. So whatever your situation is, man, I'm here with you. You know, as long as I have breath, I'm going to make sure we turn that around. Okay.
Hello,
Hello. Who is this?
Wanetta.
Wanetta? Hey, Wanetta, how you doing?
Good, how are you? I am
Where you from? Where you from? Where you from? Where you from?
I'm from Prattville, Alabama.
Alabama with a banjo on your knee. Go ahead. What you got?
I have I was introduced to your product, and I have several people that are interested in knowing more about this like I am. But I don't have any information to get in touch with you all so I can introduce them to the call. So how do I go about spreading the word?
Who invited you to this call?
George Story.
Joyce Story. Is she a part of the kind of organization, or she was just somebody said, "Hey, get on the call"?
Well, he's used the product, and he
Okay.
wants me to do it, and he also want me to know more about it because I believe in the holistic avenue, and I wanted to get a better.
Right.
I want to do better because I had breast cancer. My sister had breast cancer, and I just
Right.
want to live a better, healthy life. And I have a lot of friends that want to join the is it Kawana? I think it's Kawana.
Akana.
Akana. Yeah, Akana.
Yeah.
And they just
Juanetta,
wanted to.
that's me, Dr. Prince. Juanetta, I sent the information to George for you to get on tonight. So I'll make sure that I reach back out to you.
There we go. We got you. I knew somebody was gonna get to you.
Okay.
That's the easy part. We can always find somebody to get to you. But yeah, now Dr. Roz will definitely take care of you, and yeah, go through the process, because this is a process you can share with your family and friends. We now have the ability to not be helpless watching our friends deteriorate. We don't have to do that no more. We can help our friends. We ain't got to wait to see if the hospital is going to be successful in reversing their condition, because they're not. Let's just know they're not into reversing. They're not into healing. They're not into eradicating. When you watch a person go down the drain in the healthcare system of today, they just keep going down the drain. Even if they come out and they stabilize and they're still on all this medication, eventually they're back in the crisis care system. You don't come out of that system unless you go holistic.
Okay.
But that's your choice now. You have a choice. You don't have. Let me ask you this: do you want to treat your condition, or you want to eradicate
it? That's a good question. I want to eradicate it and treat it.
There we
actually.
go. That's it. And that's the choice we're giving you. Eradication. We're not treating it. We want to eradicate it. Okay. And
yes,
we want to address the initial reason why you dealt with the breast cancer. Because just because it's running in a family don't mean that because it's running in a family, you get it. But what is running in the family is the same lifestyle. So you have to be willing to make some changes with your lifestyle so that you can become the sacrificial lamb of your family. When you become the sacrificial lamb, then the angel of death will pass over your house.
I understand that part. That is so awesome.
There we go.
So I am looking forward to hearing from Miss Ross. Was that her name?
Rosalind. Dr. Rosalind.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing from her because I really am interested. Okay.
I got you. We got you. Now make sure when you start, tell them to send me your send me your scan, because I want to make sure we address this cancer condition thoroughly, okay?
Okay, I'm in Alabama, so
That's good. That's good. Oh, I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Okay. Well, I can come to Houston. I mean to Texas. I'm not.
Oh, you
It's not
can?
a problem. Yeah,
It's
my
not. Is that
brother
a
lives there. George lives
okay?
there, so I can visit him.
Oh, well,
And
that's great. Then you can just drive right on down and get your scan from either Roz or G. Where do you live, Roz?
Houston.
Okay,
Houston.
gotcha.
Okay, not a
You be
problem.
driving.
Not a
Okay,
problem.
good. Done deal. All right, next question then. Thank you, young lady.
Dr.
Thank
Prince,
you. Mhm.
Yes.
my name is Vicki Alexander from Illinois. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think the cleanse would be beneficial for a person that deals with chronic pain?
Chronic pain. Oh yeah. In fact, that's one of the indications of the cleanse. Because the problem is this. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Painkiller, but we're addressing the pain from a pharmaceutical perspective. And what's happening is that people are dying because they're becoming addicted to these painkillers. And even though the painkillers may be dissolving the pain is not being eradicated. So therefore, the medicine just numbs the pain until it comes back. It's going to keep coming back until you eradicate the pain. Our goal is to address holistically, through different modalities, why the pain is there. We can address the pain internally through chemicals, chemical meaning herbs and supplements, that's what I mean. And we can also address it physically through naturopathic manipulation and also chiropractic manipulation. So now we can address the pain inside and out. And then if you do need pain supplements, we have CBD. So you can address the pain not with toxic stuff, but with actually natural stuff. But you don't want to stay on CBD and become addicted to that. You want to now address the underlying root cause of the pain. The CBD is to take you away from the toxic synthetic medication. Then that way you're still addressing the pain, but now you're getting to the root of the pain. And that's what we want to do. We want to get to the root of it and erase it permanently. Okay.
Okay. Well, if the pain is from like injuries, like
Mhm.
I was in a really bad car accident, so
Yes.
I'm left with a lot of pain from injuries.
Where, in the back?
Both
Where
legs,
exactly?
my femur, hip on the left side, wrist on the right, ankle was fused on the left. I developed scoliosis after the accident. So
Okay.
I did, after 12 surgeries, I took myself off of all pain medicines and I went the CBD route, CBD and THC, but I don't want to be on it forever.
Got you.
I don't, because I don't really like substances.
Right. So we need, excuse me, let's do a consultation with you. You're in Illinois, so it won't be hard to get to any one of us. And let's work on a regimen that clears the inflammation, because the pain is inflammation. Inflammation means that area is slightly acidic. See, the pain might not just be the car accident. The pain may also be a combination of your lifestyle to that point. In fact, the combination of your lifestyle, your thoughts, your stress is what caused the accident in the first place. You attracted that condition to you. So you're not just dealing with physical imbalance, you're dealing with mental and emotional balance as well. And that's what we also address, mental and emotional toxins. Because remember, Psalms 91 says, 1,000 shall fall by your side, 10,000 by your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you behold and see the rewards of the wicked, because you have made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, your habitation, and there shall no evil befall you. Neither shall any plague, sickness, or illness come nigh thy dwellings, because he gives his angels charge over you in all your ways. So sickness, health, injury, tragedy is all a part of health. So we're not just going to fix the pain, we're going to fix what caused the accident. That's how deep it goes. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. But wait, where'd you go?
I'm here.
Oh, who brought you the call?
I was at the conference in Atlanta.
Okay, that's right. The All Black National Convention. Okay,
Yes, and I
so
did the body scan there.
okay, so connect with Fred and Anita. Have them send me your scan so we can get you moving because you're in Illinois.
Okay.
So you're in Illinois. Hey, you in my backyard. So of course I'm gonna help you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I want you to return back to the All Black National Convention, and guess where it's gonna be next year?
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. So I want you to come up. I want you to stand up when I take center stage on the big stage. I want to have you testify that this program helped to reduce and eliminate your pain, restore balance, and give you the quality of life back that you lost because of whatever mental and emotional issues that may have caused you some type of imbalance. And let me stop for a second with you guys to say this. Never get behind the wheel angry, upset, or depressed. Because when you do that, you're falling into a frequency of collision. You're falling into the frequency of conflict, negative emotions, and you will draw and attract that accident to you. It may even appear that it was their fault, but it doesn't matter because you're experiencing it. So even though it's their fault, you're experiencing it because there are no accidents in this universe. So that it's not an accident, it was a crash. The crash began in the mind. It didn't begin in the body. You manifested it. And that caused you harm to your body. The body is the end result of your thoughts. So before I get behind the wheel, I pray. I raise my hands to the heavens. I say, arise, O Lord, let thine enemies be scattered. Let those that hate thee flee from before thee, which in Hebrew is kuma Yahuwah ve'afutsu oiveaka ve'anusu misaneaka mipaneaka. And when I do that, I'm balanced. Not a fender bender in years. Nothing. And that's how you stay balanced. You have to, your balance and your health is always. It's not just sometimes, it's always. So that's why you want to make sure that there's the book. You want you to put the book in there, Dr. Roz, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Everyone, I want you to start reading that now. Even before you start the cleanse, start reading that now. Start listening to that book now. Because if you don't know the power of your own subconscious mind, then you don't understand the things that are coming into your life that are creating your experience. You're drawing that stuff in. So if you don't like what you're drawing in, then you need to flush it right on out. And that's where the cleanse comes in at. We got to get rid of the mental and emotional toxicity, okay? So yeah, get back with Fred and Anita, and then we'll coordinate that, all right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Anita, you want to close this?
Okay, thank you,
Dion.
Dr. Roz. And thank you, Dr. Prince. This has been an absolutely amazing event. Dr. Prince is always giving us more and more information that is wonderful to share. Again, I want to thank everyone who came on the call. Wish you all a wonderful holiday. If there are any other questions, please take a moment now before we leave.
There's a question in the chat about does the cleanse help with Alzheimer patients?
Well, let me say this about Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. That's a head condition. I have helped people to prevent Parkinson's and even reverse Parkinson's. A lot of times when you're dealing with different things like dementia and all that, it has a lot to do with gross vitamin or mineral deficiency. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that you can turn it around 100%, but you can definitely slow down the degeneration, but you got to get the body back into a replenished state. You got to get those trace minerals back in, copper, cobalt, all the stuff that you don't even think about putting in food. Tin, iron, calcium, all these trace minerals, which is even on the bioscan report. So all these trace minerals, all these vitamins from vitamin A all the way to vitamin K, if you're deficient for a long time in these products because of the lifestyle, then what's going to happen is that eventually the brain, which requires a lot of energy, a lot of water, a lot of nutrition, that's going to be the first thing that starts to go. Disease starts from the head and it goes down. So whatever's going on up here, remember the heart has to pump against gravity to get up here. So if there's anything going on in your heart, then you first need to get that heart right so that you can get the perfusion to the brain. But as you're getting the heart right to get the perfusion to the brain, then you also want to make sure you're flooding the body with the right nutrition. So there's a multitude of things that has to be done simultaneously in order to get that right. And the person with Alzheimer's have to understand what's going on, and they have to have the will and the desire to want to turn it around. It's not just on us, it's also on them. So that's why a lot of times if I'm dealing with that, I need to talk to that person, find out where they're at, find out where their cognition is, and so we can start moving them back to where they need to be. But yeah, everything can be reversed because it's a process. Remember, you can't cure disease. It's not about a cure. Disease is a process. You can only reverse the process.
Okay, I do see one last question regarding adding drops to water to make the water more alkaline. That's in the chat from Marina.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. Sorry, Marina, we got to you a little late, but so some people do drops. If you let's say if you got a glass of water, but you got to also remember, is the glass of water you have, is it neutral or is it acidic? Because if you put a few drops in there and it's already acidic, there's a good chance it may be alkaline for a few seconds or a few minutes, and then guess what? It's gonna revert back to the acidity. It's all about the content of the water. Now, faucet water or tap water, believe it or not, is neutral. So tap water is mandated by the municipalities to be neutral. But in order for it to be neutral, they have to put all these different chemicals in there to get it to a neutral state. So if you put drops into tap water, yeah, you might make it a little bit more alkaline, but you got to deal with the chemicals in there. Well, let's say you take the water through a filter, then you filter out all the chemicals in the tap water, but you filter out the chemicals that make it 7.0. So now you have clean water, but now you have water that's, no, you have clean water, but you have acidic water now. That's what I meant to say, sorry. So one thing I recommend for a lot of people, if you're really serious about this lifestyle, look into a Kangen alkaline water machine. Kangen alkaline water machine. It'll range anywhere from 1,500 all the way up to 6,000. Let me tell you, that machine will change your life. You won't want any other water except the water coming out of your machine. You can wash your hair with it, wash your skin with it, wash your fruits and vegetables with it. You can clean your counters with it. I mean, you can clean everything because water has multiple functions. So once you start understanding all the different properties of water and the different pHs and what the different pHs mean, then now you understand that if I drink Dasani or Aquafina, which is 6.8, that means that Aquafina and Dasani are acidic waters. So if I put drops into acidic water, I don't know if it's going to stay alkaline. It may go back to acidity within a few minutes unless you drink it rapidly. Or maybe you might want to squeeze some lemons in there to help out. But remember, all in all, you want to ionize your water or buy you some ionized water to make sure that you have 100% 8.5 to 9.5 alkaline water. The drops may not get you where you really need to go, okay?
Well, again, we just want to thank you, Dr. Prince. You always give us a wealth of knowledge. This is wonderful. We'll be doing this again next Tuesday, Dr. Roz, for those who didn't make it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll do another one next Tuesday to get everybody. I may drop off after next Tuesday, so make sure you make sure everybody gets on for this call by next Tuesday, okay? Because I'm now into my my indoor training, and that would have cut in to my training, but I trained this morning at 7 a.m. So that's why I was available for you guys.
Okay,
But
all right,
I
well,
just
we'll
wanna-
do this again next week.
But I also want to just say that I want to thank you guys for giving me the time and the platform to talk and speak to you. It's always a blessing to me as well as to you. It's never a unilateral blessing. Just trust me, I do this because I love you. I do this because I've already expressed my love through giving my life. As you know, my predecessors are no longer living. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter to me. But once I decided to step out, I decided that your life, your health was more important than my life. So therefore, I speak boldly about what I know because I've done the research. I have the testimonies. I have the experience. So I'm not worried about being touched. As long as God is with me, then no one can be against me. So may the Lord bless you and keep you and cause his light to shine upon you, be gracious to you, show you favor, grant you everlasting peace and success through the cleansing and detoxification process, and grant you all everlasting peace. In his mighty name, we pray. Selah.
Selah.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you so
Night.
much. Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Thank you, Dr. Prince. And
Thank you.
you owe me a phone call.
I do.
Okay, okay.
Thank you,
Dr. Prince
I got you,
Don't wait.
Gigi said, I gotta get my plug in.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw her looking at me crazy side eye. I like
Mhm.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.
Good night, good
Thank
night,
you.
good night.
Good night.